Hey, welcome to All Things Food Podcasts, episode number 12. My name is Peter Kim. I am your host, of course. Today's episode, the OG Korean market of Chicago, Jungbu Market, here on the All Things Food Podcast, where we explore all things related to the wonderful world of food. I think most people who care about Korean food already know about this place. Jungbu Market or Jungbu Shijang. If you talk to a Korean person, they're going to say Jungbu Shijang. Shijang is the Korean word for market, so it's the same thing. Jungbu Market, Jungbu Shijang. Okay. Jungbu Market is the last remaining OG market. Okay. And let me explain. There have been some markets in the past. When I was growing up, my mom always went to a place called Donga Food, which I think was on Tui. There are some other random Asian markets, of course, in the burbs. There's Dundee Market on Dundee, obviously. And there's a whole bunch of newer markets like Asi Market, which is still pretty old school, and H Mart, which is my personal favorite market to go to, but that's in the burbs. Jungbu Market is a unique place because it has history. Long before, decades before Korean food became more accepted, more mainstream, Jungbu was doing its thing. So, to those of you who do not know about Jungbu Market in Chicago, you're welcome. All right, this episode is for you. All right, so this might be a quick one, and that's okay because my memory card is filling up, but I don't want to switch it out right now. But anyway, whatever. All right, so let's just get into it. I beat around the bush too much. What will I find at Jungbu Market? Well, you will find a tiny ass building. It's tiny. I mean, it's old school. On the corner of a busy intersection right next to the highway. And so it doesn't have the most room. So, when you think about a market, I normally think of a huge place, but it's pretty small, actually. It's really small, but the good thing is it has everything you need to cook Korean food. It'll have all the stuff that you need easily. Okay. Three things that people talk about a lot when they talk about Jungbu Market that is definitely worth going to is it has great sashimi deals. Sashimi is raw fish sliced. So think about sushi, like nigiri sushi or nigiri sushi, piece of fish on top of a thing of rice. Take away the rice, that's sashimi. And they have great deals, especially for lunch and during the weekdays. I think I was there a couple months ago, and I forget when exactly the deals are, but you can get great sashimi deals. In fact, it's so great that I went to H Mart in Niles expecting something similar, and I was shocked to find just regular prices. So you can find great sashimi deals at Jungbu Market. Now, why are they such great deals? I don't know. That scares me a little. Right? There's got to be a reason why that salmon is so cheap. It's tasty. I mean, I got it a couple months ago, and it was really tasty. And I was like, yeah, this is awesome. But there's got to be a reason. And I don't know what that is. So that worries me a little. But you know what? If you go every once in a while, what's the harm, right? Right? That sounds like really good advice. Very wise, right? What's the harm? But they do have great sashimi deals that are totally worth it if you don't mind the implications. And maybe once you've heard that, now you'll never not think about the implications. Okay, so it has all the ingredients that you need for Korean food. It has great sashimi deals. The dumplings outside are very, very popular, pretty popular. Even the last time I was there were a few people waiting in line for them. And again, it's at a very inconvenient location. So I can't speak to the quality of the dumplings, or in Korean it's called mandu. but it's really popular. People rave about them, and I think for the price, they're really a really great deal. Another thing that's a really great deal is the restaurant inside, and I say restaurant with like quotes because there's really like 3 or 4 tables. I think, and again from what I've heard, I haven't eaten there. I think ever, but people say that you can get a good jjigae, a good stew, a good basic fundamental solid Korean dish for a pretty good price. It's probably one of the better values that you'll find in Chicago. Some of the other food courts at the Asian markets, Asi Mart, H Mart, no one talks about them. At Jumbu Market, they do. So take it for what it's worth. I personally want to try some of the meals at Jumbu Market, and I just haven't gotten around to it. Why? It's because I actually go to H Mart. But, for if you go there and you're going to go shopping, and if you're in the city and you don't want to go out to the burbs, dude, hit up Jumbu Market. Last reason why I would recommend Jumbu Market is they have great pre-made kimchi. Now, kimchi is a very long, intensive process. It just takes a lot of work to make real kimchi. I'm not talking about like a 5-minute kimchi. That's like doesn't make sense to me. I see that on like food shows, like, oh, let's make a quick kimchi of Swiss chard, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Kimchi, like good kimchi, takes time and prep, and it's just a lot of work. It's a very intensive manual labor process, and they have great pre-made kimchi for decent prices. Probably one of the more affordable prices that you'll find in Chicago, with a really great selection. Actually, I was really surprised. Like when I went there, just it's not, again, it's a small place, right? But then like there's like 2 refrigeration units of shelves of kimchi. And they had a good selection of different types of kimchi. And we bought 1 jar. I prefer pechu kimchi, which is like a lettuce kimchi. And it was actually pretty good. I was quite happy with it. I get cravings for kimchi like once every 6 months. Okay. And then after that, I'm good. And then I won't crave it for another like 6 months. And that, when I was craving it, and then we were cooking a Korean meal for my family, and when I ate it, I was like, "Yo, this is hitting the spot." So great pre-made kimchi. Now, it's not so great. Jumbo Market is not so great if you want a large selection. For example, if you want like seaweed, like kombu is the Japanese word for it. I don't know what the Korean word for it is. Just kim, but it's like like unprepared, unseasoned seaweed. They're gonna have. I'm just using this as a for instance. They're gonna have 2 or 3 types of unseasoned seaweed. If you go to a bigger place like H Mart, you're gonna have like 2 dozen choices. Okay, so if you want a large selection, it's not gonna. Don't go there. It has the basics. It has the fundamentals of everything within the Korean food experience, but it certainly does not have a lot of choices. It's not so great if you want a modern experience, because Jumbu is OG. It's been there for at least 30 years, maybe 40 years, maybe even longer. I'm not really sure. It's really old school, and it feels like an old Asian market. My wife is Korean, like she was born and raised in Korea, and she just recently emigrated to America with me. And when we went to Jumbu Market, she was embarrassed. She was like, "Oh my God, She was like, "I feel like I'm in the '70s," and she's not. She wasn't even born in the '70s. Like it's really old school, and so if you want a cleaner, more modern experience, go to H Mart is number 1. H Mart is the best Asian market in the Chicagoland area, in Niles. Even Asi Mart is pretty solid. They do have a modern Jumbu Market on Milwaukee, but that's in Glenview, so that's like too far out of the Chicago area for me to really talk about. And it's not too big, I think, from what I remember. But yeah, Jumbu Market, the OG one off of like Where is Jungbu Market? Where is it? It is off of Kimball and see. I was gonna say Irving Park, but it's a few blocks away from Irving Park. So off of off of I-90, Kimball and Belmont, basically in between Belmont and Addison. Okay, so if you're in the city, Jungbu is a great place to go, but it's not going to be a modern experience. And believe me, like I hope that is not your impression of Korea if you go to Jungbu Market, because like this is like Korea from the 70s. Like this is like pretty old school. Okay, so don't think that Korean markets are like that in Korea, although there are some that are like that. Last, it's not so great if you need ingredients outside the norm. Okay, so like I said, the selection is not the greatest. It has what you will need, but if you want extra, it's not going to deliver. Okay, so I think it is absolutely worth going to at least once. If you are just new to Korean cooking, it has whatever you need. Okay, you're not going to need anything more. If you want to like experiment and do all this other stuff, it's probably not for you. If you want to get a good meal and some cheap sushi, absolutely hit it up. Actually, for me, like personally, I'm trying to like think about when the next time my sashimi craving is gonna hit, and I'll just fill up on some sashimi from Jungbu Market, because it is what it is. You know, it's an old school place that is kind of an institution among the Korean American population, and it delivers what it delivers. You know what more can you really ask, right? From a place like that. So, Jungbu Market, hit it up. If you want some Korean ingredients, some pre-made kimchi, sashimi, get a quick meal on, you're welcome. Thank you so much for listening or watching. Subscribe on iTunes, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. I'd also love to hear from you. Please leave messages on my YouTube channel, or send me an email at allthingsfoodpodcast@gmail.com. Show notes can be found under the descriptions. I do have like a page on my personal website, peterbkim.com, but there's nothing there. There's like no posts. And at this point, I mean, this is the 12th episode, and I have like no notes, because everything I want to say is said in the podcast. You can find me on Instagram at Peter BB Kim. Peter BB Kim is my Instagram tag. My website is Peter B Kim for my photography. Mostly photography. It is all photography, because Peter B Kim is taken up by some dude who doesn't even use his Instagram account, I think. So Peter BB Kim on Instagram, where you can see I take most, like 99% of it is food photos, and just, you know, my foodie adventures. Thank you so much for listening to this relatively quick episode. Until next time, stay hungry.